hiring, and what's been the IT hiring for you in Q4 in comparison to Q3, because the some data suggests that the IT hiring in January and February increased in a subsequent manner. What's your take on that?
Yes. Specific to IT hiring over the last 5-6 quarters, as far as IT services is concerned, there is absolutely no hiring that has happened. And what we are seeing now is largely the deferred hiring of backfilling of attrition that has happened in last few quarters. So most of them are not new positions. Many of them are the old positions which were vacant for last few quarters that got filled up. So this is on IT services. But having said that, on GCC, the hiring of tech professionals trend is very positive and it will continue to go up because GCCs are hiring in large numbers, especially the mid and senior level tech professionals who are mainly into niche skill set. So there it's very encouraging and GCCs will continue to contribute majority of the IT hiring happening for this quarter, Q4 as well as Q1. Coming to TeamLease specific hirings in IT staffing, Q4 also we are expecting that the growth would be mostly muted or some marginal growth. It's not going to be anything substantial as far as IT hiring is concerned. However, non-IT segments are doing very well, especially FMCG, FMCD, pharma, manufacturing. So these segments are hiring in good numbers.
ઓકે સો એટલે અત્યારે ખાસ એ જોવા મળી રહ્યું છે આઈટીમાં પણ એક સારું એવું હાયરિંગ થઈ રહ્યું છે, પરંતુ ફાર્મા છે, મેન્યુફેક્ચરિંગ છે, એ બધા પણ એવા સેક્ટર્સ છે કે જ્યાં આગળ આપણને અત્યારે સારું એવું ભરતી પ્રક્રિયા ત્યાં આગળ આ બધા સેક્ટર્સની અંદર વધારે ચાલી રહી છે. બટ આઈ જસ્ટ વોન્ટ ટુ આસ્ક યુ અ ફર્ધર ક્વેશ્ચન, એની ડેટા ઓન આઈટી હાયરિંગ મેન્ડેટ્સ, because generally we see IT hiring mandates as a future, it indicates the future demand of the market, and we have seen that some big IT companies has recently also announced the big their hiring plans for FY25. So is there any pickup in IT hiring mandates right now?
Yeah. No, at this stage, the indication is that maybe after Q1, maybe effective August or September, there'll be a good pickup in the hiring. As of now, there are small amounts of hiring happening. As I said, this is mostly the attrition filling and backfilling. But the volume hiring at this stage, we are not seeing on the ground. But as you rightly mentioned, there are talks with our clients who are saying that maybe by mid of next year, so they'll start the hiring because most of these large IT service companies have gained good mandates. And so far, they have already peaked out on their existing employee optimization and productivity. So they have to start hiring at some point. But whether that point is going to be Q1 or Q2, that's the question right now.
યસ, એટલે જો અત્યારે ખાસ વાત એ કહી રહ્યા છે કે Q1 પછી આપણને થોડું અહીંયા આઈટી સેક્ટરની અંદર હાયરિંગ જોવા મળે છે, જો કે મોટી કંપનીઓએ જાહેરાત કરી છે, પરંતુ એ જે ટ્રેન્ડ છે Q1 પછી આપણને વધારે પડતો જોવા મળશે. બટ આઈ જસ્ટ વોન્ટ ટુ આસ્ક યુ ઓન અ સ્પેશિયલાઇઝડ staffing, because you have seen a double digit growth in a Q3 after almost 6 quarters. Do you think that this double digit growth will be sustainable in future times, especially in FY25, and what's your take on that?
Yeah. No, Q3 we have a one-off instance with a large client which has given us good numbers in that quarter. So we already called it out in our results. Barring that, this quarter, Q4 and Q1 will be mostly flattish because as I mentioned, we are not seeing any large number of hirings happening yet. But Q2 onwards, we are expecting good uptick in the growth momentum as well as margin expansion as far as specialized staffing is concerned.
જો અત્યારે ખાસ કરીને આવનારા સમયની અંદર અહીંયા પણ સ્પેશિયલાઇઝ સ્ટાફિંગની જે નીડ છે તે પણ આપણને આવનારા સમયની અંદર પૂરી થતી દેખાશે. અત્યારે ત્યાં આગળ બહુ મોટા આપણને એ નથી દેખાઈ રહ્યા, પરંતુ Q3માં એક મોટો ઓર્ડર હતો જેની ઇમ્પેક્ટ આપણને ત્યાં જોવા મળી હતી. But I just want to ask you on a general staffing that as we know that we are in a election timings are going on in all over the country. What's your experience say? What are the hiring trends during the election timing? Is that in general staffing basically are those numbers are vary from year to year, or does it stay stagnant over the years?
I mean, in a country like India, we always have something or the other election going in either at state level or central level. And so far in the last 20 years, we haven't seen any major impact, either slowness or increase in hiring in any specific segment so far. And even for the upcoming year, we are not seeing any early indication of any slowness or pickup in any specific segments. And for the next year, we believe that the major contributors in terms of new job employment in the formal sector will continue to be FMCG, FMCD, BFSI, pharma, manufacturing. So these segments will continue to give the large number of jobs for next year.
Okay. You just mentioned about the BFSI that you will get a large number of jobs in this segment. I just want to ask that how it is performing right now, because in Q3 con call you mentioned that the manufacturing segment is driving the growth in overall hiring process. But we have seen that BFSI is the segment that gives the most job to the people in our country. That how it is performing right now in our economy.
So specifically in Q3, RBI has issued some guidance, especially for unsecured loans under the value of 50,000. It's more like cautionary guidelines and indications that the RBI has come up with. Because of that, there is some slowness in the hiring because especially when we are talking about temp jobs, since TeamLease is mainly into contract staffing and temporary jobs. So that segment has a high exposure to those unsecured loan selling, credit card selling, loan recovery, those kind of profiles. So that to some extent got impacted. Even till January, we have seen that impact continuing. However, by end of Feb, we are again seeing the uptick in the numbers in BFSI.
જો ફેબ્રુઆરી એન્ડથી એક અહીંયા BFSIની અંદર સારો એવો ગ્રોથ આવી રહ્યો છે એટલે એવું એમનું કહેવું છે. બટ આઈ જસ્ટ વોન્ટ ટુ આસ્ક દેટ વિચ સેક્ટર્સ આર growing in terms of hiring right now in our economy, because as you mentioned some of the sectors, but where the main demand come from?
Yeah. See, right now, all the jobs that we are seeing are mainly transitioning from unorganized to organized, because many of them may not be new jobs. Some of them may be so far in the unorganized sector, but now they are moving to formal sector. So this is the phenomena that we have seen substantially happening in FMCG, FMCD over the last few quarters. And we believe that the similar trend would continue in the next year as well. And this is also evident from the consistent increase in EPFO holders and the new enrollments there. The other sectors which are contributing to this kind of job uptick are, as I mentioned earlier, specifically in manufacturing, the pharma, industrial, engineering segments. So there we are seeing good discussions. Also in terms of smartphone manufacturing companies, EV manufacturing companies, and the other auto, there are good discussions happening in terms of volume hiring. So these companies are talking about hiring in large number of people, mobilizing them, training them for on-the-job training as well as pre-training. So those discussions are also very encouraging, and we believe that manufacturing will give us good share of jobs in the next year.
એટલે જો અહીંયાથી ખાસ કરીને મોબાઈલ મેન્યુફેક્ચરર્સ છે, ઓટો મેન્યુફેક્ચરર્સ છે, ત્યાં આગળ એક મોટા પ્રમાણમાં અત્યારે ભરતી પ્રક્રિયાઓ દેખાય છે અને ખાસ કરીને એમનું માનવું છે કે આવનારા વર્ષે મેન્યુફેક્ચરિંગ સેક્ટરમાં અહીંયાથી આપણને વધારે સારો ગ્રોથ જોવા મળી શકે છે. આઈ જસ્ટ વોન્ટ ટુ આસ્ક યુ અબાઉટ ધ જનરલ સ્ટાફિંગ growth, because in our last conversation the company has mentioned that in FY24 you are targeting almost 20% growth in general staffing. Is it still on paper, or how it is possible for you now at this point of time?
Yeah. Yes, we are confident of maintaining the 20% growth in general staffing. Even for current year also, we have managed to maintain upwards of 20% revenue growth in general staffing. Even at group level, we are maintaining upwards of 20%, while IT and apprenticeship business are still dragging us down because of higher contribution coming from general staffing. So we'll continue to maintain 20%. Even for FY25, going by the early trends of hiring, we are confident of maintaining a 20% growth.
એટલે જો FY24માં તો આવા ગ્રોથની અપેક્ષા છે, પરંતુ FY25માં પણ અત્યારે જે પ્રકારના ટ્રેન્ડ દેખાઈ રહ્યા છે 20% ગ્રોથની અપેક્ષા તેઓ અહીંયાથી ખાસ રાખી રહ્યા છે. આઈ જસ્ટ વોન્ટ ટુ આસ્ક યુ અબાઉટ ધ આઉટલુક ઓન માર્જિન્સ, બિકોઝ earlier conference call or earlier interviews you have mentioned that now it is difficult to get back to 2% margin without IT hiring picking up. Now the IT hirings are picking up, so what's your outlook right now about the margins in coming years, like in FY25?
Yeah. Starting Q2 of FY25, we are confident of expanding the margins by few basis points quarter on quarter, which is mainly coming from operating leverage in our general staffing business and improved margins and profits in HR services. As and when specialized staffing picks up, our margin expansion can get accelerated. So pre-COVID, we have demonstrated an EBITDA of 2% because that was the time when IT contribution was also at peak. So now with IT hiring seeing some sort of pickup, maybe post Q2, we should be able to demonstrate that better. But at this stage, we are still uncertain on how much will be the volume in IT hiring. So we have to wait for a couple of quarters to comment on that.
જો અત્યારે આવનારા Q2 બાદ અહીંયાથી થોડોક માર્જિનની અંદર સુધારો આવતો જોવા મળશે એવું એમનું કહેવું છે, અને ખાસ કરીને આઈટીના કેવા ટ્રેન્ડ આપણને જોવા મળશે એના આધારે આગળની દિશા તેઓ અહીંયાથી નક્કી કરશે. જસ્ટ વન લાસ્ટ ક્વેશ્ચન આઈ વોન્ટ ટુ આસ્ક યુ અબાઉટ ધ એડટેક segment. How it is going on right now, EdTech, and in Q3 con call for EdTech sector, the management has expect 30% year-on-year growth and EBITDA margin in range of 8 to 10%. How it is going on right now, and what's your target for EdTech? How much do you want it to grow in coming years?
So EdTech is one of our largest growing business in our portfolio of HR services. So this year, the business will clock about 100 crore in revenue with about 8% EBITDA margin. And for coming years, we are targeting upwards of 30% growth in revenue and slight expansion in margins, maybe to lower double digit, 10 to 11, 12% is what we can target for the coming years. So in this business, we are mainly focusing on university-related sales, so wherein we provide the EdTech platforms and curriculums to the degree students, the distance degree students who are enrolling with the universities across the country. So this business is growing very well. We have already signed up with close to 50 universities across the country, and we have close to 5 lakh students already using our EdTech platform. And we are, as I mentioned, we are expecting upwards of 30% growth on all these numbers in the coming years.
જો અહીંયાથી પણ આવનારા વર્ષોમાં 30% ગ્રોથની એક સારી એવી અપેક્ષા છે, અને આ એક એવું સેગમેન્ટ છે કે જે કંપની માટે સૌથી સારા પરફોર્મન્સવાળું રહ્યું છે, એટલે એના પર એક ખાસ ધ્યાન આપતા રહીશું. ઓન ધેટ નોટ, મેમ, I just want to thank you that you just joined us and shared your all details on this specific outlook. Thank you so much, and I hope we can connect with you on next quarterly earnings.
Sure. Thank you so much. Pleasure talking to you.
થેન્ક યુ મેમ. જુઓ અત્યારે